All right, so you're all packed and ready for some Fijian sunshine, right? But then you see those headlines about potential poisoning at a resort. Yikes. Makes you think twice about that pina colada, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely not the kind of souvenir you want to bring back from paradise.
No kidding. So we're diving deep today into this whole situation at the Warwick Fiji resort. We've got news reports from all sorts of outlets, and we're going to break it all down for you. What really happened? What do we actually know? What's still a mystery? By the end of this, you'll be sipping that cocktail with confidence, not fear.
Sounds like a plan. Let's get to the bottom of this tropical cocktail conundrum.
Okay, so rewind to last week. We're at the Warwick Fiji resort on the Coral Coast. Picture it, beautiful beaches, crystal clear waters.
Paradise, right?
Exactly. But for 7 guests, it turned into a bit of a nightmare. 5 tourists, 2 foreign residents.
All between the ages of 18 and 56.
Right. And they all start feeling sick after having drinks at the resort bar. Specifically, pina coladas.
Ooh, pina coladas. Talk about adding insult to injury.
Yeah, seriously. So first you've got the usual suspects, nausea, vomiting. But then some reports start mentioning neurological issues.
Yeah, and that's when the alarm bells really start ringing.
Right. And it gets even more intense when they have to transfer these folks from a hospital in Sigatoka to a bigger one in Lausoka.
Yeah, it sounds like things were pretty serious at first. Some reports even had them listed as being in critical condition. But the good news is, by Monday, things seem to be looking up.
Yeah, that's definitely a sigh of relief. Reports were saying everyone was improving, and some are even getting ready to head home. Still, though, poisoning is still the main suspect here. So what are investigators actually looking at?
Well, obviously everyone's mind jumps to methanol, especially with that recent tragedy in Laos. But it's not a slam dunk case, you know? There's a whole bunch of other possibilities they got to rule out first.
Like what? Give us the rundown.
Well, for starters, bacterial contamination. Think about it. Improperly cleaned equipment or maybe even contaminated ice. You never know.
Yeah, that's a thought.
And then there's always the chance of accidental chemical contamination. Could happen during food prep, storage, you name it. And don't forget Mother Nature herself. Some plants and foods have naturally occurring toxins. So the investigators have their work cut out for them. They've got to analyze everything, the drinks, the food environmental samples, even patient samples. It's like a scientific puzzle.
Speaking of puzzles, the resort issued a statement, talking about their safety practices and where they get their ingredients from.
Yeah, but you got to take that with a grain of salt, right? They're going to say they're doing everything by the book.
For sure. So what other pieces of this puzzle are we missing? Where else can we get some info?
Well, it's all about getting different perspectives. We need to hear from the health authorities. What are they saying? What about independent investigators? And most importantly, we need to hear from the people who actually got sick.
Makes sense. Their stories can shed some light on what really went down.
Absolutely. It's all about piecing together the whole story.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. What's the impact on Fiji tourism in general? Are people freaking out, canceling their trips?
Well, Fiji's tourism minister and their tourism chief are doing damage control. They're saying it's an isolated incident, which from their point of view is understandable.
Yeah, they got to keep people calm.
Exactly. But let's be real. Stuff like this can definitely spook travelers. People might be thinking twice about where they stay, what they eat and drink.
Yeah, I would be.
It's a tough spot for Fiji to be in. Got to reassure people, but also be transparent about what happened.
And on that note, let's talk about the human side of this. Remember that Australian dad, David Sando, his daughter and granddaughter were among those hospitalized. Can you imagine getting that phone call in the middle of the night?
Oh man, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Your loved one's sick so far away, it's a parent's worst nightmare.
Absolutely.
And they're back home now, doing okay, thankfully. But his granddaughter had a seizure. That just shows you how serious this whole thing could have been.
Right. It's a reality check for sure.
No kidding. This wasn't just a bit of an upset stomach. This was serious stuff.
It really makes you think. And it's no surprise that Australia and New Zealand were quick to offer consular assistance. I bet this is bringing back some memories for Australian officials after those methanol poisoning cases in Laos.
Yeah, I'm sure they're feeling a sense of déjà vu.
So let's get practical here. Our listeners got their bags packed ready for Fiji. What advice do you have for staying safe? What should they be thinking about?
Well, while this whole Fiji incident is still under investigation, there's some solid advice from Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. It's actually good advice no matter where you're traveling.
Lay it on us.
Be aware of the risks. Drink spiking methanol poisoning. These things are real. Know the signs and symptoms. Stick to bottled drinks whenever you can. And be super careful about drinking anything from sources you don't trust.
Solid advice.
And this should be a no-brainer, but if you suspect anything is wrong, get medical help ASAP. No messing around.
Absolutely. Safety first. So let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway here?
It's too early to say for sure what caused this incident in Fiji. But it's a wake-up call. Paradise has its risks too. Be informed. Be aware. Take those simple precautions. It's all about enjoying your trip without the unwanted drama.
Preach. Okay, so one last thought for our listener as you're soaking up that Fijian sun. Think about this. How can the tourism industry balance safety with that adventurous spirit, especially in places known for exotic drinks and local ingredients?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? How do we make sure things are safe without losing that sense of adventure?
Exactly. What can be done to make sourcing and preparation processes more transparent? How can travelers be savvy and informed about what they're consuming? It's a whole conversation we need to be having.
Totally. Food for thought next time you're sipping that tropical cocktail.
Cheers to that. And thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.